Yo, what is good, my anime people? What is good? Yo, this is the types of days that I live for the anime and die for the anime. Guys, I can finally say if you don't watch this anime, you are 110% missing out on an amazing show that actually might give you an understanding of what I've been clamoring about for quite some times in the overall grand scheme of wanting uh, all of these episodes. And that's what I'm going to say about the community and like just the overall grand scale of how shows seemingly can be so much better even if they potentially start out so slow that it's almost questionable if you should continue watching it. Um, and one of those things is having this show be 30 plus episodes at the rip, at the jump. I already knew I was getting into something long. I knew that there should be a beginning, middle, and end that either makes sense or that should hit home after all the build up that they're giving the show time to build up, which to talk about the actual episode and to see Faceless in this vulnerable, like finally quote unquote haven that he's made for himself. He has, the girl of his dreams by his side by like times 55. Um, there's literally like 7, 8 girls by him um, while he's just kind of flexing the fact that that's happening. The other thing that really throws you into like a guessing like period of what is he actually happy? Is this something that is satisfying to him? All those types of questions is when all of a sudden he didn't like deliberately make very strong defense mechanisms for anybody coming up to space. Not only that, someone as simple as his own creation could practically destroy everything he built. So it's almost as if he set himself up for, failure by making people, like he said, like the master. His creations were just like him when it came down to what they wanted and how much they were willing to fight, for it, or even if the person, for instance, Faceless, did not love back, this animatronic that was created by him still had like the power and thought process to just straight up body him. Like, I'm just gonna try to kill you then. Like, if I can't have you, you're dead. Like, that's straight up the thought process that all of a sudden like went through her head, and she did it pretty much. Like if she didn't catch him like that, he might have been able to do a lot more. But at the same time, he wasn't in any urgent way of like, oh, I need to dodge this attack, I need to live on and blah blah blah. Like he already had death seemingly in his mind. But the thing that gave me a little bit of clearance that he probably did not have death on the mind is because he had an escape shuttle that easily, made it at a dire time when this whole entire place is crashing. So not only was it crashing behind him, like the shuttle that gets out like went out to the atmosphere first. Like it got to the atmosphere faster and like had to change its course that the actual satellite or whatever was dropping from. Another thing that kind of gives Faceless away in the overall grand scheme of um, you know how he has the overall stuff stopped is it's almost like he wanted to be an out. It's like maybe outer space was something that he always yearned about. Just wanted to see it. And like he says further in the episodes, he never felt like he was really supposed to be on Earth. He never felt he had a place there. So to have him die in space really, really kind of solidifies that. Like he not only didn't feel like he could be there, so much so that he didn't even want to die on that planet. And the thing that hit me, man, was multiple things hit me. But now that I had a little bit of time to just, let it all sit and marinate a little bit, it's still hard to think about, man. To think that this guy who lost the love of his life to his brother, and the brother not doing it in a malicious way or anything like that. It all happened very naturally, it seemed like to me. And if you think it happened any other way, I would love I would love to hear your opinion on it if you guys are watching it all the way through and stuff. But it just felt like this was something uh natural that was gonna, like, love is natural. Love is something that just happens, and you can't, like, really force it. And to think that whatever he saw in Francine and in Eleanor, he thought was actual love, then to finally see her have the person she want and be in love, I think that was another blow to his overall goals in the case of, oh, I and he thought he already knew who she loved. He thought he knew everything about her relationship with our main character, which it almost turned into that because of things that weren't really his own. I mean, to be fair, I always saw, our main character, the kid, more or less not really into her like that. Like, it would have been nice for him to, I guess, grow up very quickly compared to her, and then catch up to her age, and she be like, ridiculous amount older than her, or her being older than him. But why do that when you can just straight up give him someone else in mind, like the girl who wanted to live and do certain things with him once he got back from the whole trip and stuff. So why wouldn't she be one of the things that he mentions or says was kind of a downfall in this week's episode. I think if he was like, well, even though I fell in love with her, I still got to fall in love again with someone else who I didn't even know already loved me. And I think because the story already had given me so much information about all this stuff, like throughout, and just how she reacted to him kind of lying about, hey, I'm going out there and I'll be back to do all this stuff. Like, it was obvious that he was lying. And he had no freaking clue what the heck's gonna happen in outer space. So it's just one of those things where it was really cool to see him uh, try to be the biggest man that he could in the situation. And even though he felt like he can't do much for anybody once he leaves into space, he still wanted to at least leave some hope for somebody who, wasn't really that big of a character until towards the end, where she takes all of these animals and just runs amok with them and saves people. Like, I don't know. I think they could have done a little bit more with her. They could have said something else of her heroics and stuff like that, but I understand they're doing whatever they could do with the time given, and I still loved it, so I'm not even mad. The other thing is, whatever was kind of like popping off, regardless of, whoever, they, I don't know, they had a lot of things that could have happened. Like, for instance, the main character not coming back and stuff like that. But to see him come back, to see him then live a lifestyle that he pretty much wanted to live, he got to go out and start to help and do whatever the heck he wanted to do after all this time. And guess what he does? Guess what this amazing, smart, animatronic, capable building kid does with his life after all of this mess he went through, and all he really wanted to do was be stronger so other people wouldn't have to suffer and have to protect him. What he then does is goes and poses as the same type of person that saved his life and winds up saving two kids' lives. Not only that, but giving them the confidence and the hope that they could also be, if not just strong, but stronger than even him, who has gone through just everything and back. So, man, it was powerful. It was a very, very powerful everything for this, and I can't even put into words how happy I am to actually have watched it all through. I mean, there's a lot of shows that came out in 2018 that were absolutely fire, and I will never hold that against them just because of this show. But to be fair, this show had a lot more of an impact on me. It lasted throughout 2018 all the way up till now, and never got dull, never got boring for me. I was always looking forward to something else popping off at any given time. But now that it's practically over, um, yeah, it's about that time to really just think about what else could have happened. I mean, we got Nagami and his wife, his lover, pretty much living out an amazing life that they would, always dream of probably living. And that's going around even in war zones, making people laugh and cheer because not only is Eleanor going to age 3 times slower than any humans, Nagami is also going to age that slow, and what better person to spend your life with than someone who's going to literally last as long as you? Um, the one thing that kind of didn't make sense was that our main character, the kid, Masaru, he also has some of the blood in him, but I guess he didn't take enough for it to alter his growth process. Like Faceless was saying that you could just wait, like you could literally just have aged over time, and you would have caught up to Eleanor because she aged slower. And it sounds like he doesn't age fast. So that kind of confused me only in the case of like, does that mean the blood did not have that much effect on him? And the last time I checked, I could have sworn this kid was an actual puppet, or they were just showing him as a puppet, and in a metaphoric speaking way because of the puppets throughout the show, and he was one of them all along. Even though he's human, he still was a puppet in some grand scheme of way because he was going to be used by Faceless and emptied out like an empty shell of all of his own memories. And that might have been what they're going for. I'm just guessing. I am a very guessy man. But because the show said Finn, and we can pretty much conclude that we're not going to get any more of it, that just seems like the case. Like, so overall, the only reason why Faceless literally started helping this kid was because they did the Superman kind of thing where he said a line that just shook Faceless to his core, even though he already had still shown that he's heartless and don't care about nothing, and he's happy that everything's still going seemingly to plan. Kills his own animatronic right in front of our main character that's literally begging him, or at least telling him to say, "You love me and only me." And next thing you know, he absolutely bodies her, and it's like, I can love whoever I want, so don't ever don't ever forget that. Dismantles her, and she stabs him. That leading to his, like, I think, epiphany of, hey, I should just relax and start thinking about everything right now. And when he started thinking about everything, it felt more or less that he was getting this grand scheme of what the heck was actually popping off. Not only what was actually popping off, but who he was hurting, and who was going to die overall. It still wouldn't have helped how he felt. He could have killed all those people and probably still felt the way he did at the end of the time. So to think that he getting stabbed put more of a perspective in mind of like, oh, I'm going to die because I don't really care to actually go and get medical attention, all this stuff. I'm just going to go with it. I'm just going to let whatever happens from here on out. And that I think that mentality also comes from this, or stems from what he said. Like Nagami fell in love with her first, and Eleanor loves him back. You know, like that hit him in the face really bad. So it led to him getting to treat someone else like a younger brother, and it also got to a point where he wanted that younger brother of his to not suffer death so early and actually allow him to use the escape pod, and he himself doesn't use it because he says, nah, I just don't want to see your face, bruh. Like, he even learns that once they're doing like the teamwork together to try to save, I mean, to straight up say it like this, his younger brother, who he despises and tried to destroy the whole world and leave him, you know, all dead, he still wanted to save that man and even have puppet shows and try to redeem his name on Earth. And that also is probably why, you know, like he never actually gave up on Faceless through this whole time. And that right there just goes to show you that he had more feelings than we could ever understand throughout this show, and I love that. Um, but yeah, this show, wow. Thank you so much for giving it so many episodes. Thank you so much for putting everything into it, seemingly. I am blown away with the quality of how this all played out, and not to mention the fact that these characters are amazing. I'll always remember and cherish like how things played out, but to think that they don't give us any type of actual indication that some of the people who, you know, were in the battles, like I was hearing from people in my comment section saying, you know, certain people are alive and stuff like that. And I think this might also come back to me giving this show maybe a little less credit than it would get from me if I didn't know there was an actual like written source material, because if there's a case of multiple characters that I enjoy being still alive, I would have loved to seen that in the anime, and it might have softened the blow a little bit. I mean, we straight up have to just guess everybody who we saw get bodied is bodied, and if there was any indications that they weren't, it wasn't given throughout this animation, you know. So with that being said, though, thank you guys so much for indulging me in this show. I know a lot of you weren't keeping up with it, and even did try to watch it and just kind of fell off because of certain aspects like the animation or just the overall story was too slow for you. But this show is fully out, and I'm going to say it, this is why you should watch Cabaneri. I honestly hope that anybody who has any questions, doubts, or anything like that come to me and say, you know, why are you saying the show is so great or anything like that. I will be happy to talk to you as till I'm blue in the face and defend this show now that it's over, and now that I even know how much effort and time went into actually making this good, actually making anybody who watches this show feel something at the end, and that's exactly how I felt. They delivered it. So with all that being said, my anime people, I apologize that this video is long, and I apologize for another long video with Shield Hero, but when these shows come to an end, this is when you'll get the true passionate anime G coming out, because I have nothing to hold back from you on all the reviews. It's just I can't predict the future of how good a show is going to continue to be or how bad it could end. You know, I have no control over that. So as soon as it happens, I can actually give you my honest and true feelings through and through of all of it. I mean, there could be times I hate, there could be times I love, and I'll let you know that. But with this show, I can't do that because there wasn't anything I really hated yet, until I'm going to go read the other stuff and see what could have been left out. So that could be fun. With all that being said, I truly hope you guys have an amazing day, night, evening, whatever the case may be. I am your boy, the Anime G, and we have so much more anime to talk about pretty soon when they drop. So I hope to see you there. And like I said again, thank you so much for even supporting or watching any of these videos for this anime. And I hope it truly, truly, truly makes you want to watch it at least once. And since it's fully done, you can binge watch all the way through it or take your time. That's the best part for me, is I can tell you all of it's done. If you watch all of it and still don't enjoy it, I apologize for wasting your time, but it's something that I honestly would recommend. So, peace.